his heaven-born imagination. "There's a better reason for Rawhide than tickets, Trampas," said he. "I said it was too late for Tulare." "I heard you," said Trampas. "Opinions may differ. You and I don't think alike on several points." "Gawd, Trampas," said the Virginian, "do you reckon I'd be rotting hyeh on $40 if Tulare was like it used to be? Tulare is broke." "What broke it? Your leavin'?" "Revenge broke it, and disease," said the Virginian, striking the frying pan on his knee, for the frogs were all gone. At those lurid words their untamed child minds took fire, and they drew round him again to hear a tale of blood. The crowd seemed to lean nearer. But for a short moment it threatened to be spoiled. A passenger came along, demanding in an important voice, "Where are these frogs?" He was a prominent New York after-dinner speaker, they whispered me, and out for a holiday in his private car. Reaching us and walking to the Virginian, he said cheerily, "How much do you want for your frogs, my friend?" "You got a friend hyeh?" said the Virginian. "That's good, for yu' need care taken of yu'." And the prominent after-dinner speaker did not further discommode us. "That's worth my trip," whispered a New York passenger to me. "Yes, it was a case of revenge," resumed the Virginian, "and disease. There was a man named St. Augustine got run out of Domingo, which is a Dago island. He come to Philadelphia, and he was dead broke. But St. Augustine was a live man, and he saw Philadelphia was full of Quakers that dressed plain and eat humdrum. So he started cooking Domingo way for 'em, and they caught right ahold. Terrapin he gave 'em, and croquettes, and he'd use 40 chickens to make a broth he called consommé. And he got rich, and Philadelphia got well known, and Delmonico in New York he got jealous. He was the cook that had the say-so in New York." "Was Delmonico one of them Italians?" inquired a fascinated mutineer. "I don't know, but he acted like one. Lorenzo was his front name. He aimed to cut—" "Domingo's throat?" breathed the enthusiast. "Aimed to cut away the trade from St. Augustine, and put Philadelphia back where he thought she belonged. Frogs was the fashionable rage then. These foreign cooks set the fashion in eatin', same as foreign dressmakers do women's clothes. Both cities was catchin' and swallowin' all the frogs Tulare could throw at 'em. So he—" "Lorenzo?" said the enthusiast. "Yes, Lorenzo Delmonico. He bid $1 a tank higher, and St. Augustine raised him 50 cents. And Lorenzo raised him $1, and St. Augustine shoved her up 3. Lorenzo he didn't expect Philadelphia would go that high, and he got hot in the collar, and flew around his kitchen in New York, and claimed he'd twist St. Augustine's Domingo tail for him and crack his ossified system. Lorenzo raised his language to a high temperature, they say. And then quite sudden off he starts for Tulare. He buys tickets over the Santa Fe, and he goes a fannin' and a foggin'. But gentlemen, hush! The very same day St. Augustine he tears out of Philadelphia. He traveled by the way o' Washington, and out he comes a fannin' and a foggin' over the Southern Pacific. Of course Tulare didn't know nothin' of this. All it knowed was how the frog market was on soarin' wings, and it was feelin' like a flight o' rockets. If only there'd been some preparation, a telegram or something, the disaster would never have occurred. But Lorenzo and St. Augustine was that absorbed watchin' each other, for yu' see the Santa Fe and the Southern Pacific come together at Mojave, and the two cooks traveled a matter of 210 miles in the same cyar. They never thought about a telegram, and when they arruv, breathless, and started in to screechin' what they'd give for the monopoly, why them unsuspectin' Tulare boys got amused at 'em. I never heard just all they done, But they had Lorenzo singing and dancing while St. Augustine played the fiddle for him. And one of Lorenzo's heels did get a trifle grazed. Well, them two cooks quit that ranch without disclosing their identity, and soon as they got to a safe distance, they swore eternal friendship in their excitable foreign way, and they went home over the Union Pacific, sharing the same stateroom. Their revenge killed frogs. The disease " "How killed frogs?" demanded Trampas. "Just killed 'em. Delmonico and St. Augustine wiped frogs off the slate of fashion. Not a banker in Fifth Avenue'll touch one now if another banker's around watching 'em. And if ever you see a man that hides his feet and won't take off his socks in company, he has worked in them Tulare swamps and got the disease. Catch him wading, and you'll find he's web-footed. Frogs are dead, Trampas, and so are you." "Rise up, liars, and salute your king!" yelled Scipio. "Oh, I'm in love with you!" And he threw his arms round the Virginian. "Let me shake hands with you," said the traveller, who had failed to interest his wife in these things. "I wish I was going to have more of your company." "Thank yu', seh," said the Virginian. Other passengers greeted him, and the Indian chiefs came, saying "How?" because they followed their feelings without understanding. "Don't show so humbled, boys," said the deputy foreman to his most sheepish crew. "These gentlemen from the East have been enjoying you some, I know. But think what a weary wait they have had hyeh. And you insisted on playing the game with me this way, you see. What outlet did you give me? Didn't I have it to do? And I'll tell you one thing for your consolation. When I got to the middle of the frogs, I most believed it myself." And he laughed out the first laugh I had heard him give. The enthusiast came up and shook hands. That led off, and the rest followed, with Trampas at the end. The tide was too strong for him. He was not a graceful loser, but he got through this, and the Virginian eased him down by treating him precisely like the others, apparently. Possibly the supreme, the most American, moment of all was when word came that the bridge was open, and the Pullman trains, with noise and triumph, began to move westward at last. Every one waved farewell to every one, craning from steps and windows, so that the cars twinkled with hilarity, and in 20 minutes the whole procession in front had moved, and our turn came. "Last chance for Rawhide," said the Virginian. "Last chance for Sunk Creek," said a reconstructed mutineer, and all sprang aboard. There was no question who had won his spurs now. Our caboose trundled on to Billings along the shingly, cottonwooded Yellowstone, and as the plains and bluffs and the distant snow began to grow well known, even to me, we turned to our baggage that was to come off, since camp would begin in the morning. Thus I saw the Virginian carefully rewrapping Kenilworth, that he might bring it to its owner unharmed, and I said, "Don't you think you could have played poker with Queen Elizabeth?" "No, I expect she'd have beat me," he replied. "She was a lady." It was at Billings, on this day, that I made those reflections about equality. For the Virginian had been equal to the occasion. That is the only kind of equality which I recognize. End of chapter 16.